Google searches for can't sell house just hit an all-time high, higher than 2008, higher than COVID, higher than anything we've ever seen, and we all know what that means.
Anyone else trying to sell a house in Southwest Florida? We've been trying to sell our house in Southwest Florida for probably close to 3 years.
Folks, for sale signs are stacking up everywhere in the U.S. housing market. Some of these sellers are even taking losses. On this house behind me, they bought it for $267,000 in 2024, and now it's listed for $230,000.
So today we're going to be taking a look at the housing market along with some people having trouble selling their home right now. Who would have thought it'd be hard to sell overpriced homes to the average person living paycheck to paycheck in this high cost of living environment? We have a ton of stuff to go over today along with comments from you guys from previous videos. So if you want to be featured on a future video, leave in the comments down below. But let's just jump right into it.
Folks, for sale signs are stacking up everywhere in the U.S. housing market. Some of these sellers are even taking losses. On this house behind me, they bought it for $267,000 in 2024, and now it's listed for $230,000. I'm seeing like houses for sale literally right next to each other. The prices are dropping and dropping hard in many cities and states across America, especially in the South. This is where data from ReVenture is showing the biggest inventory surge and where price declines are happening first. Over here, this is an Open Door house. They're America's biggest home flipper. You can see the blue sign right here. They're trying to sell a 3-bed, 1-bath house, 900 square feet south of Atlanta for $216,000. Folks, sellers in Florida are taking huge losses on houses. The owner bought it in 2022 for $390,000. It's now listed for $357,000. When you look at this map on ReVenture, prices are dropping almost everywhere in Florida. And the reason I'm showing you guys this is to show you the truth about what owning real estate in Florida means. Yes, there's big booms. Yes, you can make a lot of money in the long run. However, there's also big downturns, there's big crashes. You see, this owner also tried to rent the house out first. He had it on the market for rent at $2,600 a month, cut it to $2,500 a month. There's a lot of rental inventory in this neighborhood. He couldn't rent it. Now he's deciding to sell at a loss.
And we could go right over to the comment section with the Florida clip. There are too many builds and not enough income or interest to support $500,000 houses in Florida. The economics are too lopsided, distress and home prices will drop like a rock. And I don't know if you heard in the background of the first clip south of Atlanta, is that there was a dog outside constantly barking the entire time. I don't know about you, I wouldn't want to hear that in the background all the time either.
Anyone else trying to sell a house in Southwest Florida? We've been trying to sell our house in Southwest Florida for probably close to 3 years. We rented it out for 2 of those years. We made the mistake of moving to Florida, thought it was going to be a whole different life. We were looking for peace. We got total chaos. We stayed there for 5 months and we moved back to our original state. We're still here now. We rented that house out for 2 years, and then as of this June, I think it was May, at the end of May, June, we put it up for sale. We finally have buyers, and now the market is so bad that we're hoping that the appraisal that's being done tomorrow is going to appraise for at least what the offer was. It's a solid $150,000 less than what we paid for it.
And the appraisal could make it even worse. My other thought with this situation is you didn't go down there for a long period of time before you bought some sort of long-term Airbnb in the area where you were expecting to buy a house. That's a pretty big mistake to not like where you actually purchased, and now you're losing $150,000 just to get out of the deal and go back to square one. Very odd decision in my opinion, but we can move on to the next clip.
Google searches for can't sell house just hit an all-time high, higher than 2008, higher than COVID, higher than anything we've ever seen, and we all know what that means. But there's a problem with the chart. This only goes back to 2016, so I went back and I checked every single year of Google Trend data. And when you go all the way back to 2004, it was basically a non-existent search term, and then this has just been taken off like a rocket lately. So unless interest rates fall dramatically, you're about to see home prices fall across the board.
Going over to the comments, are you saying Gen Z might be able to buy a home? Wow, it's almost like a $200,000 house isn't worth $1.3 million. Someone else also said, I can't sell my $500,000 home that I bought for $250K in 2020. And that's why some people are taking massive losses right now. But on the other hand, you still have some sellers that are completely delusional.
I just encountered another completely delusional seller slash listing agent in a recent offer that I wrote. And here's the story. So for reference, I'm selling my client's townhouse. They're upsizing to a single family home, currently in escrow on that townhouse. So we're writing offers on homes that they love. This home we wrote an offer on was listed for $1.2 million. We wrote a little above list price. That's how much they loved it. And we got a counter. And this counter was mind-boggling. The seller is requesting to live in the house completely for free after close of escrow for 30 days. On top of that, the home will be sold as is, no repairs, no credits, even any termite work. It's going to be up to the buyer to do that after close of escrow. On top of that, they said, you know what, if your appraisal comes in lower than what you are writing an offer for, you're not going to be able to adjust the purchase price to make up for that appraisal difference. So we didn't even respond to this counter, we just walked away, and now we're looking at different homes this weekend. But to ask for free rent backs, no repairs, no credits, appraisal, forget about it. In 2025 is absolutely ridiculous. This is something that occurred in 2020 and for the most part of 2021.
On top of it being a $1.2 million house, and you know it's probably worth half that. We have some sellers that are still stuck in the peak of COVID years and won't settle for anything less other than the absolute top of the line price. And that's just not happening 6 years later. I asked you guys in an older video, do you see overpriced listings where you live? Yep, the sellers keep delisting and relisting their homes to restart the clock on the MLS. Some sellers in my area have been doing this for the past 3 years. They refuse to accept their home is overpriced. I also live in North Carolina on the coast, and it's all overpriced D.R. Horton builds and overpriced older homes that are about to fall apart, and the seller refuses to fix anything or come down on the prices. Don't sell homes for $800,000 when they should be $350,000 houses. I'm in Canada. What do you think? We'll see a clip a little bit later about Canada. One house near me was originally priced at $1.2 million. Single family home that's 2,500 square feet was on the market for 124 days and sold for $900,000. The original bathroom and kitchen was from 1989. The market is still cooked no matter how you look at it. 40,000+ homes in Las Vegas are overpriced sitting on the market. There are no jobs in Vegas anymore, only layoffs and casinos losing everything with no tourism. But regardless, we're still seeing clips like this being uploaded all the time.
280 days on the market, our buyer makes an offer at 90% of the list price. What happens, Jenny?
Well, the listing agent told me that the seller wants their list price. I said, well, what's her plan if she doesn't get it? She said, to keep the house. And I said, good, that's a good plan, because that's what's going to happen.
We offered $50,000 under listing on a $699,000 property 7 weeks ago, and they declined. Today, it was reduced by $55,000. The longer that house sits on the market, the more sellers it drives away. The assumption is something is wrong with either the home or the seller. Exactly. 280 days on the market means it's overpriced. 90% was a good offer, and that's still not enough for some people. Here's another one up on screen. Me sending an offer on a house has been sitting for 200 days. Listing agent, we have multiple offers coming in. Yeah, sure you do. Made an offer on a house that's been listed for over a year, so we offered $40,000 under, and yet again denied. Sold a few months later for $175,000 under. I really just don't understand. Saw a house on Zillow sitting for $850,000 for a couple months, then dropped to $799,000 and stayed there for a couple more months. It just got relisted for $1.25 million. What do you think's going to happen now? I put an offer on a house that's been sitting for 2 months. The agent came back and said the buyers were offended with my $10,000 under asking with no other offers on the table. Do you want to sell the house or not? We could really sit here and read comments like this all day long. They are never ending. And we got one from you guys talking about the people who bought in the past couple years. They overpaid for their homes and now they want us to overpay for their homes. Don't think so. But now we can get into the absolutely ridiculous prices in Canada.
Miriam Musavi admits she's been struggling financially as a full-time real estate agent in the Greater Toronto area. A single mother, she was forced to list her own home in April. 7 months later, it hasn't sold.
I have to basically beg people to come and just even look at the house.
The national average sale price of a home sold in October was just over $690,000, down 1.1% from a year ago, according to the Canadian Real Estate Association. This home east of Toronto was purchased in September 2024 for $2.3 million. Last month, it sold for $1.2 million.
Guess what? People can't afford million-dollar homes that are only worth $350,000. They inflated the market and now cry. Well, as an agent, she should know. If it's not selling, the market doesn't support the list price. No one wants to spend $800,000 on a $350,000 house. No one has the money. Inflation is killing us. That house was never worth $2.3 million in the first place. But talking about her being a real estate agent, we could go over to some of the recent stats.
Did you guys hear about this? The National Association of Realtors just dropped the numbers for 2025. 2025, roughly 71% of realtors across the United States did not sell a single home last year. And it's literally almost 950,000 realtors out of the 1.3 million that are licensed across the US did not do a single deal.
And I know some people do it as a side hustle, they just have the license and don't really do much with it. But regardless, with those types of stats, it sounds pretty obvious that most people can't afford houses these days. And what happens because of that? They just sit collecting dust.
You guys honestly aren't gonna believe this. Those townhomes are still for sale over 2 years later. It's almost unimaginable that they could build all these condos and let them sit for sale for so long. Some of them listed for almost $600,000 still. So recently, they put a whole bunch of money into this quiet, serene public landscape area. It's right here on one of the busiest streets in town. I'm literally having to yell so you can hear me. So basically, all these units are just emblematic of the greater housing market, where there's so many refusals to lower prices. You can see that all these years later, the for rent sign is still up. Personally, I believe a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, whatever, on one of the busiest streets in town with basically no yard isn't worth more than $250,000, $300,000, but that's just my opinion. And I guess in the olden days, people not buying it would drive the prices down, but that's just not how it works anymore. It's anybody's guess as to what's gonna happen here. But I want to say thank you to those of you who've been here since the beginning. All those years ago when I made one of my first videos about this place.
It's crazy that he gets to go back years later and see the exact same issue happening, along with showing a perfect example of how loud it would be if you did live there for $600,000. But no, we're not gonna lower the price at all. It's just gonna sit dormant. And with those being new construction, they have a pretty short lifespan. They're definitely not going to last as long as houses built 50 years ago.
Hi, I'm Brittany. I'm about to go tell a seller that their $900,000 house is actually worth $550,000. Welcome to Jackass.
There's actually a good amount of clips like this online. I like this trend, but no matter how many times you tell them, some sellers just won't accept that. Someone around the corner from me bought a small bungalow for $1.4 million during the pandemic. They would be lucky to get $700,000 for it today. The economy needs more of this kind of reality check. Tell them that the $550,000 house isn't worth $900,000 and they shouldn't have paid for that. The creator responds, "You're exactly right. During COVID, I told all my buyers, you better stay in the house 5+ years or you're not buying it." But many did not take that advice. They saw the wild increase from people who bought in 2015 up to 2020, 2021, and they thought prices would constantly increase like that all the way up to 2025, 2026. And obviously that's not what happened. We got another comment from you guys right here. Buy a house you'll love. Don't buy a house you want to sell in the future. But we've heard so many times that it's always an investment. You can make more money in the future. You absolutely have to buy a house right now. That's how you start building generational wealth. And to be honest, I'm just really tired of hearing that.
People who bought their house in 2022, now 3 years or 2 years ago, they want to sell their house and they're trying to sell it for 50 grand more than what they bought it for. But really their sale price is their purchase price. And again, if they used a VA or if they did some sort of refinance and rolled their closing costs into it, like they can't. And so I'm meeting with these folks and trying to have these conversations with them, and it's a really hard pill to swallow.
And like I said, some people won't accept that, so their house will be listed for more than a year, with absolutely no buyers being interested. I bought my house in 2019 for $130,000, just had it appraised for $510,000. Now, if I were to sell my house for $500,000 and buy an equivalent house, I would essentially be paying $500,000 for a house that's really worth about $130,000. That's something that's always glossed over with the people who have made a lot of money in their houses over the past few years. You now have to move to a different area with a much lower cost of living and either do your research or get very lucky that it's also a up-and-coming town. So it's really not as easy as buying a house, just waiting a couple years and making free money from it.
Let's talk about the number one factor in selling a house, okay? Do you know what that is? It's pricing. It's always been pricing. I don't care how good of a house you think you have, what great condition it is in, all the modification that you've done, the location, the school district. While those are all factors and a reason why someone is attracted to your house, at the end of the day, they're going to buy your house on the most important factor, and that is how much is it going to cost them, okay?
Here's another sobering truth for you. Buyers don't care how much you bought the home for. They don't care how much money you put into it. They don't care how much you spent on your high-end appliances. Certainly don't care what you need to net.
And because of that, we have sellers that would rather delist and relist their house every single year.
According to Redfin, nearly 45,000 sellers who threw in the towel and delisted their homes last year came crawling back to the market in January, the highest number of relistings for a January in over a decade. This is the seller delusion narrative in full effect. It's a phenomenon prevalent in hybrid markets where the power hasn't yet fully shifted from seller to buyer. These are sellers who would rather pull a home off the MLS for a few months, hoping against hope that conditions will improve before relisting the same exact house with the same exact problems. In San Jose, California, 257 homes that were delisted last year hit the market again in January. That represents 12.5% of the total inventory for that month, the highest share of any major US metro.
But it's because they're told it's not a great time right now. Maybe delist it and relist it in the spring or the summer. The buyers are magically going to come back, as if people are going to magically be able to save a massive ton of money to buy these homes.
If you're trying to sell now, it's a horrible time to sell. If you look at it, Zillow just shows everywhere there's price drops after price drops after price drops. So it's a horrible time to sell. And I told these people, and I said, listen, this year, by summer, the buyers are supposed to re-engage and we'll see some very strong buyer activity. But last year, most of the MLS was down between 6 and 6.5%, depending on your neighborhood and price point and things like that.
So why do you think it's going to be any different in 2026? Again, the cost of living hasn't gotten any better. It's not like everybody got a pay bump for some reason. We're going to see the exact same problems as last year. But we can move on to just a couple clips here that I just had to put in this video. We have one of a guy trying to sell this house 45 minutes outside of Houston.
For less than $8,000 as a down payment, I can get you into this modern starter home. Perfect for my first time buyers, just 45 minutes from downtown Houston. Let me show you the inside. Come follow me.
Okay, so he does a normal tour with the music behind it. 45 minutes out is pretty far, but the price really isn't that bad, at least in comparison to other homes. However, the HOA is $900 a month. How do you think you'd be able to sell that? And that's basically every single comment under this video. HOA $900? You had me till HOA, lost me at HOA. Why? Do you have almost an extra $1,000 a month for it? That one was just absolutely unreal to me. Here we got another clip up on screen with the power lines being in front of your driveway. But yeah, get ready for a massive discount on that townhouse, or be ready to let it sit listed until the end of time. Here we got another one. This is why it's important to ride past a property before falling in love with it online. Now, I really hope this means this person's just doing a tour of the property and they didn't purchase, because their neighbors look like absolute nightmares. But that's all I got for the funny clips in this video. We could just move on.
The Las Vegas Valley is now firmly a buyer's market for residential real estate, according to a new study. This is from Patrick Blennerhassett and the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Redfin estimates that the Valley has shifted towards a buyer's market almost more than any other major metro in the country, as the number of sellers now outpaces the number of buyers by 96.7%, which is up from 47.9% year over year, ending August. The only other metro area that has seen a bigger shift from sellers to buyers this year is Denver. And in terms of it being a seller's market, the only place worse is Newark, New Jersey. They lead the category.
But as we heard with the comment earlier, there aren't as many jobs in Las Vegas anymore, especially with them relying heavily on tourism. People don't have expendable income to go over to Vegas and hang out and gamble their money away. But even with some of these areas turning into buyers markets, or the housing prices beginning to drop, it is still way more expensive than renting.
According to Realtor.com, they say that the median U.S. rent for July of 2025 is $1,712 per month, which is actually down 2.5% year over year. And while the average monthly mortgage payment does change significantly depending on how much you paid for your house and your interest rate and your down payment and everything like that, according to Redfin, the median monthly mortgage payment at a 6.58% interest rate right now is about $2,600 a month as of the end of August. And that's with a 20% down payment, guys. And we're going by the median sale price of about $435,000. So that is still a crazy amount of money, and you got to come up with 20% down in order to even get a payment that low, which means you need to have like 90 grand at closing. Might as well just call it 100 when you round up to having all the closing costs and title fees and things like that paid for. So you got to spend 100 grand right off the bat out of pocket to have a $2,600 or $2,700 a month mortgage payment right now. Whereas if you're renting that same property, you could be paying $1,700 a month.
And I think it's pretty obvious to say most people don't have a spare $100,000 for the down payment. And that's only talking about the mortgage. We could take a look at the other expenses that of course have increased over the past several years.
I'd rather talk about the hidden costs of owning a home. So here's how much the average total payments for owning a home has gone up over the past few years. This is a 10-year chart. So notice how it really accelerated after the pandemic, obviously because of all the money printing and inflation. Okay, so this is the total average payments, right? But this, like this line that I've circled in red, is how much property insurance has gone up, and we are seeing no relief. And the next one I just circled is property taxes. Since 2019, insurance costs are up 72%, and property taxes are up 31%. So listen, I want you to think about that, because even if mortgage interest rates fall, then of course, yeah, that's going to help out home affordability. However, the affordability situation can continue to get worse if insurance and property taxes keep rising like this.
So that average $2,600 a month mortgage becomes way more expensive when you factor all of this in. And I know that there are many people who don't know how interest really works, so when they start seeing videos like this, it really deters a lot of home buyers.
We bought a house in 2025 and it might have been the worst financial decision ever. Let's talk about how much we paid in the year of 2025 toward this house. We're not going to include all of the repairs that we made, which totaled over $10,000, but we are going to talk about the actual mortgage payments we made, because we went from a mortgage of $364,500 to today having a mortgage of $359,681. So overall, we paid a little bit extra toward the principal, and we reduced the balance of the loan by $4,818.82 in the year of 2025. In that same time, we did pay our taxes on the property, which was $5,067.89. And then we paid interest toward the bank for the mortgage of $15,828.02. In the beginning of a mortgage, you pay more in interest because the balance is higher, and we do have an interest rate of 6.375% on this loan. So the interest adds up every single month. We're paying over $1,900 in interest on this loan. It's a little bit painful to see the totals at the end of the year. We paid almost $16,000 in interest, which just went to the bank to allow us the privilege of paying a mortgage payment every single month on this property, so that we can eventually, in maybe less than 30 years, own the home outright.
And again, this is after finding, at least for that situation, around $70,000 to $80,000 for a down payment, and then you could watch $16,000 disappear every year for interest. No wonder why we hear Gen Z saying that they'll never be able to own a home.
People can't sell their homes right now. They're having the worst luck selling their homes right now. This is not the market to buy, it is the market to rent. I know it sounds crazy, but right now it is more flexible, more feasible, and it's just smarter to rent right now. The average length of time that a house is sitting on the market right now is about 3 months. 3 months. Some houses have been sitting longer than that because the market is vastly different than it was a year ago. Just a year ago. Like, people are losing their shit trying to sell their homes right now. And some people are selling just to go back to renting. So right now it's not smart to buy.
And because of this, we even have some situations where people could afford a home, but are deciding not to because of how much of a headache it is.
I'm 25 going on 26. I probably could afford a house, but I'm just gonna keep renting, bro. Like, of course, at some point I would like to have my own house, but I'm in my mid-20s, and right now I just don't see it as a practical thing. Again, would love for someone to prove me wrong, but buying a primary home that you are going to live in full time, that's a lifestyle. That's not an investment. Like, buying a single family home and living in it full time, that's not gonna build me a bunch of wealth. I've seen 20-something homeowners and they're miserable. It's a lot of upkeep. It is a lot of upkeep. And then and the people that I know, they're house poor. I truly view buying a house as like a luxury lifestyle, not really an investment, unless you are just mega rich and you're turning and burning and you just have a bunch of rental properties.
And of course, a vast majority of people are not like that. We can go over to the comment section. Hey, I'm a homeowner, keep renting. And whenever I talk about this, a bunch of people get mad. If you're renting, you're just setting your money on fire, giving it to the landlord. And just like the last clip, I'm not against owning a home. I would like to one day. I just don't think it's worth it whatsoever, especially where I live. Houses have become so ridiculously expensive, along with there being a ton of new builds, so the quality isn't even there in the first place, and the rent is significantly lower than the mortgage payments. But that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. YouTube thinks you'll like this video popping up on screen right now, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, and I'll talk to you guys later.